And we'll focus, I mean, I'm here with the man with all the skills to tell us a little bit about this first matchup here in the day. Florida Mayhem got absolutely spanked. I'll be honest, they were clapping all the way down the boulevard by San Francisco, Matt. Not a good look for them yesterday. Going up against the Paris Eternal, who have yet to find their feet here. I wonder if the vitriol passes on. First, the Shock are really mad after losing. They turn on the Mayhem, blow them up. Now, the Mayhem mad after losing. Do they turn on the Eternal and blow them up? Paris are 1-2, the Mayhem 2-1.
It'll be a bit harder for the Mayhem to turn around and blow out Paris from the fact that Paris has been, although 1-2, they've been pretty good. You know, they put up a lot of good fights in close maps. And then also, the Shock come in first match of the weekend, they have against the Florida Mayhem. They're able to blow them out, right? They're able to practice for Florida. I'm sure they put a ton of prep, in the week leading up to play the Florida Mayhem. So Florida coming in today, I think this first map is going to be really telling of like how the series goes. I want to see if I'm a Florida fan and, if you just want to see them qualify and move on into the knockouts and go deep, you want to see them get a blowout win here in this first map.
Yeah, many people had them at top 4 in North America, and that's kind of where they want to be heading into the knockouts, if possible. Obviously, the Florida Mayhem here, see him on the screen. OG, playing above league average right now. You can see that he was ranked 8th according to our power rankings with IBM Watson. Gangnam Jin, crucially, 4th in support in the league. I mean, you love to see that stat on a flex support player, especially when you're a team that wants to play the double bubble setup. Having Gangnam Jin on that Ana, combining with OG, the ult cycling that we see as a result of that is really good. But Matt, they've really struggled against San Francisco. They really struggled.
Yeah, but the motivated San Francisco, and I think I saw Nero say in the interview, and maybe it was a tweet, where they felt like they had enough time now to really start to gel as a unit. That's going to be scary for just about any team. I feel like adding Slime to this roster definitely improved the main support role. And then, if you look at the power rankings by IBM, they would say that OG is a clear upgrade over Fate. I think you still have to kind of wait and see there. I think OG can be way more up and down, but way more explosive and dynamic player than Fate.
Here's your Florida Mayhem. Let's have a look at the team that awaits them at 1-2. Their opponents are looking pretty plucky, if I may use the pun here. The Paris Eternal, obviously, with a real mishmash of European representation here. Some of the real highlights have definitely come from Dan with some very, innovative Reinhardt play. And also Khan is a very, very dangerous flex support. The German really showed that, if he's set up by the rest of his team, he can actually have a really disproportionate impact in the server. You got Neptuno, the veteran leader. I mean, who's been around the Overwatch League for a long, long time. He's nasty at the poker table, and he's pretty darn good calling the shots here too.
Well, he had a really rough go last season, right? I know at the Guangzhou Charge, never really got to play because so much with his visa back and forth. I'm also happy to see Onigod get like a fresh start, right? He got added to the Dallas Fuel last year, didn't really kind of fit in well. Now he gets a full, fresh start here on the Paris Eternal, looking quite good. I think this is definitely a scary team. When you looked at the 2 European teams, it's interesting. A lot of people had higher hopes for London. And at least thus far, through the beginning of the season, it's been Paris who's really lived up to those expectations a little bit more.
Yeah, exactly. They were like the little brother that no one really expected anything from, and they came out and sort of exceeded expectations. Let me set the stakes for you now, ladies and gentlemen, as we see our first map is Lijiang Tower. Currently, the Mayhem sit 4th in the West Region standings. A victory here, they will guarantee themselves for knockouts tomorrow. If they lose by 2 or more maps, they are out. So it's not guaranteed. There's still a bit to play for. For the Paris Eternal, they can stay alive for a shot at the knockouts if they sweep the Mayhem. It is no mean feat by any stretch here. The Florida Mayhem, I'm quite sure, come back with the vengeance here as, again, the transitive property of getting beat hard tends to follow on and be transmitted. So we'll see here.
But if you're going to be a championship team, though, you got to be able to bounce back for things like that.
I mean, you have a top 10 main tank, stage, top 5 flex support, right? Like you have to be getting these results.
And I mean, look, you just mentioned OG and Gangnam Jin. Like Gargoyle is a tremendous player, and same with the DPS. There are not many weaknesses really, outside of potentially right now. I know OG being up and down at times, where we're seeing him play really well this season. For the Florida Mayhem, a lot of positives for this team. This is a series they should be able to win. If you lose it, you start to falter a little bit, then that's when you start talking about not being able to recover from yesterday's loss to the Shock. And looks like the Mayhem, they'll come out with a Wrecking Ball composition here with Yaki on the Pharah. So Pharah with Hangzhou in the mix. And this will be the Paris Eternal getting the point fast with a Symmetricon. So nothing really to deal with this Pharah, right? Yaki should be able to put down tons of damage. BQB obviously, you know, with the Hangzhou at range, can get into the windows, can really start to burst players down. It's going to be very difficult for Paris to hold serve here on the point.
And you can see that Onigod feels like he's backed into a corner. Look on his face. Look at where he has to position. The Eternal is so vulnerable here to what Yaki can do. He, in turn, though, not really bothered by them whatsoever. This is as free as it gets.
Yeah, a big biotic grenade from Gangnam Jin to some players in the back there of the Paris Eternal. But just so much damage coming down, right? From the Pharah in the Hangzhou. And then you saw OG didn't even have to go in with a pile driver, just could have rolled his way onto the point. Paris Eternal had to back up. They couldn't just stand there on the point with the Symmetra, and that's going to have Onigod switch right away. So they're going to go right over to a rush comp. They're going to just probably march their way onto the point and put some pressure on the Pharah, but force the Florida Mayhem into this Reinhardt.
Paris' capacity to deal with a Wrecking Ball, though, will still be somewhat limited. They lack the Zenyatta, often seen in 8-pack compositions, to sort of get Discord Orb on there and guarantee the extra damage. So OG now gets to do a bit more damage. Eleva had his back turned there, no chance for a defense matrix block. So he's removed from his mech, and Yaki now follows up. Eventually, Onigod deals with the Pharah, but the Eternal are already severely undermanned. And the fight will be over once more at 47.
Yeah, BQB takes out Onigod a little bit later there, so they'll have to wait until he gets back in the mix. They're going to go back, Taxium up towards the front, but the Dragon Strike from BQB, they're split off Don, and they were not able to follow him up. That's when you end up losing him. So okay, now they bring in a Sombra. So Sombra with the Winston. Now this is a lot like we see this in APAC pretty often, and I think I saw Josh talking about on his stream yesterday where he feels like this is a composition that will see more play as time goes on.
Not a lot of resources for Dan here, though. No Nano Boost and no Zarya Bubble, so he'll be a little bit more vulnerable and needs to be careful, but the Sombra can set up quick dives. Dan goes down pretty quickly, as we kind of expected. The Eternal, they want to get these fights over quickly. In a longer fight, it looks pretty bad. That is a 2-player sound barrier. The Eternal, they spend big, and you have to wonder if Neptuno stays on this Lucio here.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. I was like, why invest the sound barrier here? You had just, I think it was like Neptuno and Elevote get hit by it. And he looks like he's going to stay on it. So that is one that you definitely wish you would have had back. Although a would-be final fight here, you still would love to have a sound barrier to give you a chance to flip the point.
Slime definitely going to be targeted here. OG as well with the Sombra in the mix. But again, the Eternal need a quick, effective, coordinated dive on a single target, and they're looking for Yaki. Nice. They get him. That's how they want to start the fight. Now to the point they have to go. Onigod is already there, and now Elevote will join. It's a biotic grenade at the Diva, but he'll not be too bothered by that. And Paris flip things back, but it could be short-lived as Onigod drops to a headshot.
Yeah, and Elevote's going to throw in his self-destruct, and he's going to connect with BQB. That's huge. He had the Dragon Strike, was going to look to potentially split players off and then push onto the point with the team. You know, Yaki at the beginning of that fight, he ends up getting hacked, taken out, but they're going to deal with Don here. And yeah, BQB switch over to McCree. You may be able to make something out of this.
Look, one sleep dart is the end of the Winston in this composition. There's not really much to help him out. Khan as well. Can't always dive in and follow the Winston. So now the Eternal in an awkward position. They're losing players. They're forced to go for an EMP. They only have 3 players on the point. BQB, Flash Fan, push forward, gets 2. Yaki has fallen already. And the Eternal just don't have the numbers here. The composition is shaky. They're going up against some difficult heroes to deal with what they've selected. And frankly, Dan is out at sea without a lot of help. He'll get Gangnam's in there. BQB might have to roll to safety, and he does, just to try and get behind Gargoyle. The Eternal, they tried everything. Really a mishmash of compositions. But they just don't find one that works. At least one that works for long enough, Matt.
Honestly, I don't even think the issue was with their compositions. That you burn a sound barrier for no reason. You have players just getting picked off at the end of fights, allowing Florida to have a player advantage coming in. I wouldn't really write that up as a compositional, like where they just got it kind of out-comped. I think there was a lot of things there. They just kind of made some bad plays.
Well, I think getting out-comped, and then there's playing a composition not to his strengths, right?
Right, but I feel like though, with Nago is getting some hacks, right? They got a hack on the Yaki, started a fight off. They were able to get one on an OG, and they would capitalize on those. But it's just the constant trickling out where you're not going to live for long. So Yaki comes out on Pharah again here, where you don't see too much Pharah here, but maybe this is a read. They know that Sim and Doomfist are so prevalent here.
Paris's composition is going to be tested against this kind of mobility, this kind of sustained harassment. But Slime drops down early, only got able to isolate and carve him off. So leave Paris at a player advantage for the time being. Now an OG doesn't have a lot of follow-up here as he rolls through. Maybe trying to create opportunities for BQB to deal with Onigod. But really not a lot there. The Eternal definitely playing a more compact, maybe slightly more robust composition here. Naga, though, into the back line, goes very, very low. He's lucky to get out alive for now.
They tried to contest the point there for just a little bit, the Florida Mayhem, but they had to back up, concede. As now they have Slime back. So you see from Yaki's POVs, over by that Mega Health Pack, just firing off rockets, where Paris, they need to make a decision and push somebody. That's what the composition wants. And they think that they have BQB isolated on the stairs, but they don't. He's back up all the way.
Doesn't work out at all. This splits the Eternal to a degree because Khan stays behind and Onigod gets caught away from his sort of safety net, as it were. Yaki with the damage boost now, causing problems again. There's not really anyone on the Eternal that can pressure him outside of maybe Khan, but that amplification matrix has already been used. Still, he gets rid of the Mercy, and that definitely indirectly puts Yaki under a decent amount of pressure. No self-destruct here from Elivot, of course. He will be desuited, and this should be the Mayhem back into the driver's seat.
Yeah, and no, even with this, he ends up trying to push forward and take out Onigod, dies to a sim turret. You'll probably get a res here. But this is a point though, Mitch, where even if you don't have the McCree, you still should be able to take out this Pharah. So that'll be a minefield that comes in to counter the sim wall that comes through from Onigod.
Barrage here from Yaki. Thought it might have been ill-considered considering there's a wall up, but he's able to get Elevote anyway. Drops in behind Dan now. A lot of pressure on the front line, but the Eternal, they lose the Symmetra so early in the fight. That's a huge source of mobility, and that sustained damage gone. Yaki, though, has the latter in spades, and he just offloads it. This should put the Mayhem now on even footing percentage-wise with the Eternal.
Oh, absolutely. And, Gangnam Jin does a fantastic job during that. It's not caught, but keeping himself alive. Onigod actually uses a TP on the Sim to go into the backline, and because Slime is just basically pocketing Yaki, it's just a 1v1 between the Sim and the Ana, and he's able to hit a sleep dart. That's got Onigod smashing the keyboard. That is the flanking Sominsu there from BQB.
So dishonest, Matthew. I have so many people just eyes twitching watching that right now. If you've played McCree or anyone that gets pressured by McCree, you know how that feels. Elevote, though, not really sure where the damage is coming towards him on the point here. He's just getting knocked into by OG now, who steps up. There's another barrage available for Yaki here, but he'll have to dump altitude, self-destruct. Interesting. Out the window. Yaki was able to move inside and break line of sight from that, but a lot of pressure from Naga here. Yaki against the comp that he's probably pretty safe against, still definitely feeling the heat. And the Eternal want to try and flip things back, but the Mayhem, they're definitely here in numbers. And I'm watching. Yaki's going to come with the barrage now, and it looks pretty darn good. Khan lost that immortality field pretty darn early, and Neptuno fell as well. Not often you see a boosted Pharah, but in cases like this, the durability during barrage is good, and Yaki, he looks cold-blooded right now. He's choosing violence every time he takes a breath. And yes, the Eternal won't quite make it to the point. They stumble over the finish line, but they realize they come in last or second, whichever way you want to slice it. And that's a pretty comfortable first map, Matt, for the Mayhem.
I was going to say, as good as you could possibly start there for the Florida Mayhem, as no answer really for the Pharah play. And you see towards the end, they end up going to Tracer and the May. OG was an issue on the Wrecking Ball. They were never able to capitalize on him. I mean, every time we saw OG, he's pretty much just swinging around on the point with nobody really dropping him below 75% HP. So really for Paris, they weren't able to focus down any target with that rush and get an advantage. And you see what happens when you're not able to do that. They get blown out in map number 1.
Matt, you held off judgment after the second round. You said it's not necessarily a comp problem, it's just execution. But here you sort of mentioned their comp wasn't equipped to deal with Yaki. Let's see after the break if the Eternal have some time to go back to basics and think of a way to undo this Mayhem setup.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile. And by Indeed, we help people get jobs. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official refreshment of the Overwatch League, and by IBM, the official cloud and AI partner of the Overwatch League.
That's right, to celebrate the upcoming regional knockouts and the first tournament of the season, we're excited to release the skin that captures the fighting spirit of competition, and it sounds like May Melee, MMA. Get it while it's on sale now through May 11 for 200 tokens. People were speculating on Twitter. I got involved here just out of curiosity. They said, oh, is that because May is so central to the meta that this skin's being picked? But no, I don't think so, Matt. I think it just fits, you know?
Yeah, it's just cool. Also, I'm sure everybody wants more May in their ranked games, so why not?
Cool. Your self-preservation sort of instincts seem to have gotten weaker over time, Matt, but here's our power rankings with IBM Watson. I tell you what, I mean, look at this for self-preservation instincts, right? Up the top here, Piggy and Junkie, but crucially, OG entering week 3 was at 8th, right? 132, so that's theoretically, like 30% above league average, if I want to use that. That might be convoluted, but I think after yesterday's game, that will definitely hurt a little bit, but so far, so good right now for the Florida Mayhem, Matt. They look pretty darn good. Gargoyle's there at 11th as well. So we are talking about a team with well above league average tanks at the 4.
Yeah, absolutely. So 100 is the league average for that. So when you look at all the tanks for both teams in this match, ranking currently above league average. You looked at map number 1. I don't think that was really decided with the tanks. I think just a lot of issues for Paris. They were not able to swap fast enough to adjust to certain things, and then even when they did and they switched to the right things, they were not able to put together some team plays to be able to take out anything that Florida was offering. So quick first map win for the Florida Mayhem. Moving into Temple of Anubis, have to see the Paris Eternal bounce back.
Yeah, I mean, last year, every time we'd see Temple of Anubis come up, we, looked at the Mayhem and thought, wow, they play a lot of Tracer. That's sort of where they looked strongest, and this map doesn't always cater to it, especially on point A, but this team does boast one of the fastest times on Temple of Anubis back in 2020 against the Washington Justice, and that may have been at the homestand, if I recall there. So, not exactly
all Justice things with pre-decay and post-decay.
That's right. Yeah. Okay, that is fair, but they did still have incredible DPS at the time, and I had a long conversation about Janu as a sort of tank on that team as well. And, it definitely warped perceptions of some of those individuals, but that Justice roster is just booming now, so it's a memory that many fans are happy to move on from. Regardless, listen, one memory that probably sticks closely in the mind of Paris Eternal fans is sort of seeing such wonky compositions, just sort of experimented with, right? We saw the Lucio Moira come out. There was like a switch to Winston with the Diva. It wasn't Zarya. The Sombra was sort of thrown in the mix there. It feels like Paris was searching for options and maybe there was no clear consensus, or at least it didn't seem like it, on how they actually shut down the Mayhem. Different combat probably here, Matt, but still that same issue may persist.
Yeah, we'll see what Florida wants to play here because they have a ton of options. Florida can play the rush like the Paris Eternal are coming out on defense. They don't particularly need to. They could put OG on the Winston, which he's looked very good on. And they can also play the Winston with the Tracer Sombra if they want to, right? BQB, a very good Sombra player. Yaki, a great Tracer. They could play Echo here. A lot of different options for the Florida Mayhem.
Yaki always a threat, no matter what hero he's on. Now, I look to see what the Paris Eternal can really do defensively with the May walls. I think that's a big point of difference. The thing is that the Mayhem, they're not going to serve them up like a rush mirror, right? Where they could really sort of shine and have positional advantage in a mirror match defensively here. Okay, they do. So it is Ryan Zarya, as opposed to the Ryan Diva, which we often see. And eventually they settle on a comp. So it is the Hangzhou that we're looking for here.
Yep, and this is because when they go to that left-hand side, the Hangzhou can control that high ground rather quickly. So Yaki puts a May wall, everybody walks by safely. This is where the first fight will really kick off, as Zidane, trying to preserve his shield, knows that the Hangzhou can just burn it down, just hiding behind that pillar, but they give up a ton of space.
And they want that, though, because OG steps up, he tries to take advantage of that space, and that is way too late on an Immortality field. It looks like Kang Nanjin couldn't get up high enough to drop that Immortality field on the other side of the wall early. That's a really important interaction here, Matt, right? Your Batiste needs to respond to the May wall with that drone.
Yeah, typically you see the Batiste just jump over the top, Or it even looked like there was a bit of a sliver where they could actually get the roof. Not able to get Gargoyle D-Mech there, but good first defense from the Paris Eternal. We'll see if they're able to do it again. I think if you're the Florida Mayhem, like you mentioned, have to see the reaction of that Immortality build come in a bit faster.
Elevote harassing here. No loose ends for the Mayhem. BQB again will want to try and purge on the high ground if he can. Try and be creative about his angles here. And again, just a random headshot, as often Hangzhou players are credited with, can turn this fight around completely. Getting rid of the May early is big. Yaki caught out, has Ice Block. Yaki holds off the Ice Block as long as possible there. I like that. Here's the Ant Matrix though. There might need to be a May wall in just a moment, but Yaki may not have it off cooldown because Gangnam Jim's Immortality Field has fallen. Yet, the Eternal can see that high ground. They're actually going to let the Mayhem come in, at least into the drawing room.
And you can do this at times, but this is going to be an Ant Matrix with a Hangzhou. That's going to buy a ton of space here. You see they have to back all the way up around the corner.
Yeah, it's Rooster season. The Eternal just rotate with a May wall to the high ground. It's the only way they can access that area otherwise. That was quite quickly put together, credit to them. But again, there's still the issue of walking into BQB at some point. There's already 1.5 ticks. Okay, here's the Dragon Strike. See, Dan's able to dodge that to the left on the point here, but it's a well-placed Blizzard. The Mayhem know the Eternal are going to be trying to shelter inside, so they're bringing the outside in. BQB forced to the self-destruct, though, and Paris have that advantage for now. Only got with a Deadeye, and the high ground would be good, but he's being pressured down. Yaki gets rid of Neptuno, but the Mayhem are severely understaffed presently now. It's just the last Vestiges scrapping it out.
Yes, they will get some percentage, but pretty good comeback there for the Paris Eternal. And I think it really starts with that Elevote self-destruct. Being able to take out BQB is massive. And not having the Hangzhou would have just kept pressuring down Don with his shield. He wouldn't have been able to stand out there in the open and really take that fight. And just like that, we're a minute away from a full hold, potentially, from the Paris Eternal.
Yeah, I mean, you're back to square one for Florida Mayhem in many senses. You're facing down a sound barrier and an air matrix, as per usual, and a Blizzard. Not great odds for them right now. Great May wall positioning, though, from Yaki. That's going to make it hard for Khan to have too much of an impact, but Gangnam Jin uses his Immortality Field again first. Self-destruct there, doesn't find anything, and OG's gone down, so the Mayhem are in serious trouble, Matthew.
Yeah, and they're trying to back out. They want to run away here. And look at this, the Paris Eternal just chasing them to the choke. They know they have BQB and Yaki stuck here. If they're able to deal with Yaki, BQB will get out with his life. But still, 20 seconds left. You don't have your May, who is Blizzard here. Not looking good for Florida.
Yeah, it's going to have to be a overtime push for the Florida Mayhem now, and they do at least have somewhat of an advantage in ultimates here, but this Deadeye needs to find nothing if they want to continue. Good pressure there from BQB on an off angle as he went solo to the right-hand side at your mid of your screen. That's a shatter. No connection from OG now. And Dance is going to stand steadfast with the shield. He has to climb the stairs, but BQB only gets rid of the barrier. Nothing more. Flash over the top from BQB. It doesn't connect, and he takes 3 in a row from Onigod. Fantastic individual performance on the McCree. The Mayhem able to get to the point at the very least, and it has to be a hasty ice block from Naga as he's pressured down. Onigod can barely peer into the point from this little opening. He has to rely on Elivert and Khan to keep things alive, but Naga's gone down. The Eternal starting to run out of numbers somewhat, but this self-destruct will clear some space. Yaki didn't have an ice block to stay alive, and Elivert gets 2. What a jackpot for the Swede! And the Paris Eternal, it's a hold on point A. A rough map one, but they look at their best on this map.
I mean, Yaki just has to get on and contest, even without the ice block. They had nobody else there. I believe Gargoyle was demeched, Slime was, I know, still roaming around, but he had to step onto the point, had to keep overtime going. And that is one that the Florida Mayhem would probably love to have back. And we talked about the different compositions they could play. You know that Paris wants to play the rush. That's where they would really kind of opt to have the game go and the way they play. Florida, I don't think would want to play that, especially in a mirror. Like, it's not Florida's strength. Like, they could have played the double bubble. They could have played the Tracer Sombra. Like we mentioned, we've seen, I think, the Toronto Defiant do that on this map. I wonder if they felt the pressure to play the rush style because they would have wanted to play it going into point B and have some of those ultimates. But not even a point A take, just a little bit over 50%. Really disappointing offense for Florida. Paris puts themselves in a tremendous position to win the map.
Do you think that the Mayhem try and sort of match rush because they just think it's better? Do they just maybe feel like double bubble's weaker offensively? Is that an indication of how they feel about that composition? And how
I think it's more because you wouldn't want to play the Winston-based comp onto point B, where you have that close quarter engagement on the point. You would rather have the Reinhardt-based composition at that point. And you don't want to take point A and then have to reset everything and start on point B when the other team can kind of keep playing the same exact stuff. So,
okay, but so the Eternal, conversely, do believe that trying to play Winston here, I mean, they only need point A, right, Matt? So that point B analogy about Winston, it's not really a factor here. So you may be onto something there. Paris feel like, okay, we can play double bubble here and try and take point A. Now, bear in mind, it's losable for the Eternal because of the percentage gains.
And Florida's probably extremely happy with this, that they don't see the rush comes out. The rush was very effective from the Paris Eternal. This is the type of play style and game that the Florida Mayhem would want to play.
See there, I think it was Naga who forced to just couldn't keep his head down. OG too far! One step in the wrong direction. Only goes down, but the Winston is missing for the Florida Mayhem, and they very quickly back up to the point and try and stay out of line of sight. There isn't really any impetus right now for a defensive dive for Florida, so they need to wait, bide their time. And you can see OG is scrabbling to get back into the point in time.
Oh, and this is going to be a nano boost on the Dun. Look at how low these players are. Big biotic grenade goes into the back as well. So this should be the Paris Eternal who closed it out here.
Just a touch too much, Matthew. OG extends a little too far, and that's where it all falls apart for the Florida Mayhem. Nope, he's sat off the point, and the Eternal were like, wait a minute, we can just deal with OG here, and they do quite comfortably. OG never really was able to build up that primal rage at all. Slime trying to stay away from the licking tendrils of the Tesla cannon, but his number is up. And the Paris Eternal even things at 1-1. They force a rush comp when they're defending. They look miles better than Florida, who you really think would stand above them here in this series. And some of the weaknesses from Florida that were exposed somewhat yesterday are again resurfacing.
Well, I think we'll see really what happens in this next map coming up, where we'll have Blizzard World in the pool. What do we see the Florida Mayhem try and play? We see a lot of Wrecking Ball compositions there. We saw that in map number 1, and Paris was not able to stop it. If Paris now kind of has some answers and they can play, some double bubble of their own, maybe even some Wrecking Ball compositions we haven't seen from them, they can make this a series that they can take advantage of.
Hang about, ladies and gentlemen, because map number 3 is just around the corner here, and the Florida Mayhem just got a reality check hard. It hit him back in the back of the head. Stick around, map 3. We'll see you soon.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile. And by State Farm. For auto, home, or renters insurance, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Cheez-It Grooves. So much flavor, it's a mind crunch. And by TeamSpeak, the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League.
Yaki is a big key for the Florida Mayhem. He's probably the best player on this team.
Yaki! Come on, pal! We're not even... What are we, 2 minutes in? 2 minutes in, you're already trying to be the villain of this... Stop it! Oh, come off it, Yaki!
Oh, even a little tactical crouch, alright.
Yaki, though, doesn't want to give up. He's right. Huge shatter in the back line. Yaki charging in, gets the pick up on his own, solo carrying this fight. Another shatter! The classic echo, he's popping off. I don't know if it's enough. A third one! Yaki, God, he's going crazy in the back line.
Yaki's just doing so much damage to the back. No one can kill him at all. Yeah. Where did Yaki come from? What? Where was that? A dash to the skies. Yaki is just taking over the game. My word. No one stands a chance now. Yaki is just ridiculous.
And Yaki putting on a critical.
This is just brutal.
Stop. They're already dead.
Yeah, that sequence of clips features one of the most disgusting Reinhardt duplicates for an Echo player we've ever seen, and here is your Indeed player resume featuring the man himself. Obviously, an MVP candidate last year is definitely in the conversation. Crucially, top 4 final blows in the 2020 regular season, and then over his Echo stats are incredible. So tied with Fleta and Rascal as number 1 for final blows in elitist per 10. I mean, and look, this is a great time to be an Echo player, right? Yaki's showing us a few different looks here, but that seemed to be less of a factor on that second map, Temple of Anubis, is where the Mayhem got... They looked stifled playing Rush. You know, it doesn't look like them at all.
Yeah, I mean, when you see a lot of those clips, you know, Yaki playing things like the Echo, the Tracer, the Genji, you can see some of those in the meta right now. It's just on those particular points where you have to play Rush, you obviously just don't really see that often, but still an absolutely tremendous player since he walked in the league. We'll see, though, if he can get a win against, you know, Sideshow, Uncle Egg, the May Melee. That's a big one.
That's happening.
Big rematch. I'm sure Yaki's real worried about it. But Blizzard World up next. We'll see what they decide to run. This is one where I mentioned you can run Wrecking Ball-based compositions. You can even run the Winston-based compositions. A little bit of Rush towards the end of the map as well, and even into this second point. A lot of different variations we could see from the Florida Mayhem here.
And I'll start on defense, so, you know, we'll see if they opt to go for the, you know, outwardly more robust-looking Rush composition, obviously with that sort of healing output of Baptiste, but Gangnam Jim has always sort of seemed more comfortable playing Ana. You know, I would say, you know, in a similar vein to Jonak, actually. Both these two players look really, really good on her as opposed to Baptiste. But it may be a different story. I mean, we see here... okay, so this is fascinating to me. The ball composition now doesn't obviously have a huge burst healer. It's just Gangnam Jin and Slime, so you have to send Yard a Discord Orb here to deal with whatever Paris might have if they have a Wrecking Ball of their own, for example.
Yeah, you expect them to play Wrecking Ball on offense. It's what we see from a lot of teams now, and especially with Florida on defense here. This is a pretty, I don't want to say like a standard comp, but this is really what we've seen a lot from on Blizzard World is being able to play the Ashe, you know, at range with the Discord, with the Zen damage onto the ball, and no Tracer.
You would never see this comp on ladder though, Matt, right, from the Mayhem. You'd never see this in rank. Like the Zen Breed.
Oh, no, everybody would be yelling at each other, hell no. I mean, you would never see this. Yeah, I mean, it would be total chaos if your team locked this in comp. But Paris, they have a sim TP. They'll see what's going on. They're going to switch to the exact same thing. So they'll play the mirror here, which I'm fascinated about this because we've seen in the double bubble setup where the Florida Mayhem have really kind of dominated those. The rush style, that looked to be, you know, really Paris's game on the last map. This is very different than both of those. We'll see which team has the advantage in this sort of composition. And this is really one of the only maps that this is like heavily played on.
Feels like a bit of a wheelhouse for many of Florida Mayhem's players, especially for BQB and Yaki. They are right at home on these two. Yaki here on the traitor, looking for a way to get back through now. Sees most of the shielding stripped away from Elivoda. Might want to pressure. Dan, look at Dan! Oh my, the Discord Orb. That is exactly why Zen's in this composition. You trade in less robust healing throughput for just the ability to blow up a Wrecking Ball.
He rolls onto the point. He gets discorded. You have a stun there from the Brig, and then just some shots in from BQB and finishes off the main tank. But the beauty of Wrecking Ball, you're right back in the action quick.
Khan!
Ooh,
All
nice
right!
shot.
First name Khan, second name Idge. That's Carnage, Matt. What a sick high ground position from him, and getting the kill on BQB to open up the account is ridiculous. I mean, no, it was incredible. Look at what he did, Matt.
He has a highlight play, and they probably going to want to use that in clips and stuff. Say it again. It was so bad. It was so bad.
Carnage. Carnage.
Oh my god.
Sorry to the Paris Eternal video editing crew. Have to hear that over and over again as you try and clip it out.
Yeah.
But this looks beautiful. Look at this setup here, Matt.
This is it. First name Khan, last name Idge, right?
Idge, yeah,
Carnage. Yep. Yeah, there it is.
Some people don't appreciate art, Matt. That's not my problem there. 4:23 on the clock. The Paris Eternal here, I mean, as a result of that, though, they have their Transcendence in play here, so they're well on the way right now after their individual brilliance. Yaki constantly calling for heals here, as you often are. Naga's gone down. Jesus. Okay.
So they're not able to play right on the card just yet. No, Paris Eternal, they back up a little bit. This is where the ball compositions, especially on offense, like not as easy of a time to like get up towards that high ground and get on through, where this is potentially where you switch to like a Winston access to high ground, even like Rushed, we see some teams play to just kind of barrel through that upper echelon of the map with the Reinhardt. This will be a grab that comes in and a pause that comes through. So this is a pause coming out from the Florida Mayhem. So this is OG, something going on with him, it looks like.
He's just called for it in the middle of the fight. just
Gargoyle's looking over like, bro, are you serious? He's like, I got 3 in a grab, bro.
All right, obviously, so crazy situation right now. I can sort of, it's a pretty big grab on the high ground, and Nettuno went for a rally, is sort of what I can tell you right now. So OG is he actually, he's out of his seat. He's actually middle of a team fight, by the way. I mean, this is how you know you're from a team from Florida. This is how chill you are. Better get a mimosa. Yeah, no worries.
We'll see. Who knows what's going on? And it looks like, like you mentioned, it's a grab up on the high ground. It looks to be at least 3 players stuck in it. The Florida Mayhem have actually ended up using a Transcendence here, as it looks like Naga had gone in and pressured out Gangnam Jin. So as soon as we come out of this, right behind where Gargoyle is, there is a Transcendence coming in for the Florida Mayhem. And then they also have Rally available, not using it currently, and then no grab available yet for the Paris Eternal. So if you are Paris, let's say you end up losing this fight because you do have some players stuck in a grab, you will end up having a free grab with no Transcendence on the other side. So looks like both teams just about ready.
Oh dear. Okay, BQB here, obviously. So something that impressed us, he had this similar stat line last season as well. He just didn't really die very often on the action. I always wondered if it was because of his sort of beginner player in so many of these compositions. But second fewest deaths, and tied for second in scope critical hit accuracy, which is so big and might have something to do with his lack of deaths, because that's how you deal with traces. She tries to come up to you, and if you can actually scope and headshot her, which is, I mean, vastly easier said than done, that's an instant kill. I just love here how, I just want to take note, everybody, there's a headset on the ears and one around the neck. Sponsor obligation. You'd love to see it. Here we go. That was the grab to the high ground. Khan with the Transcendence now. So the Eternal are forced apart with both of their defensive ultimates here. And they're still getting clapped. Or
I mean, this should be one where the Florida Mayhem are able to close it out, as everybody converging on both supports. You do still have the payload being moved by Onigod, but the payload progress probably going to go for naught, as Don coming back into the fight quick. He's going to have to back up. Yeah, nobody else here for the Paris Eternal just yet. So Florida does end up coming out on the winning end of that fight. For the next one coming up, though, we'll see if Naga, we did get into the backline and pressure out Gangnam Jin before. Can he get there and potentially get a pulse bomb off? That would be huge.
The Eternal now group up here. And you see that Dan's been sent a little bit further forward now. He'll play that low ground position, maybe scout, try and sneak the card up a little bit further and catch someone out of position. But see just how safe the majority of Paris is set up trying to play. Again, it's a contest for the high ground now. Bob from Onigod. OG tried a minefield. And Naga's already fallen in this fight here. That's again, BQB dealing with a Tracer. Might have something to do with those low deaths. And yeah, that's again, the fight's over before it really starts, and Onigod trades in his Bob for very little.
He was great at it last year. That's a pulse bomb. Does some damage, doesn't end up in a kill, but what the Paris Eternal were trying to do there, Mitch, is they had Don and Naga go down to the cart and get it moving, potentially to try and get some players to drop down. They had the rest of the team ready to just access the high ground, just push on forward. And then what Naga and Don did is they wrapped all the way back towards the high ground. The bad part is they end up losing Naga to BQB before they're able to get there or get some type of control of it.
Naga has that pulse bomb there. It's the transcendence from both sides that you probably want to be looking at here, especially with Yaki out of the picture now. The Mayhem in a pretty safe position, though. They are very spread right now, with Elivo playing so close to ostensibly Onigod here. The Eternal have a bit of a trek to make to sort of get this card in still. Pulse bomb stick will be nice here. Naga eyes it off greedily, doesn't take it though. Good discipline, and here's the Bob on the cart. This will stall for a bit. And Onigod's gone down here, so maybe you start seeing a little bit more aggression from Yaki. Starts to step up a little more now. Pulse bomb, speculative, doesn't connect. Little bit of a late team bubble there, and that's not available now. It's going to have to be the Transcendence Force from Khan. Gangnam Jin still has his, and the Pulse Bomb cuts through the healing over time.
The Paris Eternal need to start punishing OG. Every time he goes in, he gets discorded, and I know obviously I have the offense nav, the luxury of that. He gets discorded, and then he just rolls out, and nobody puts any damage on him. They just throw the discord on him to try and deter him to go away. And he's now starting to realize that there's nothing going to happen. That time he rolls right into them, onto the cart. Pile driver, he gets discorded, he just rolls right out. Nobody even does any damage. Whenever Don gets in there, he gets discorded and BQB immediately switches to him, just trying to pump damage into him, force him back for an extended period of time. It's just a lot of extra pressure that Paris is having to deal with because they're not putting any pressure on OG.
Elivo being low on health right now is big.
This
There's
time
no burst healing for Paris. They don't have... Yeah, okay, in fairness, they're in a position to make a push now, and they finally follow up on that Discord all match, so your scrutiny may be paying off a little bit there, but they took a bunch of early damage, and that actually means something with this composition. You can't just patch that up right away and get back to work. That buys crucial seconds, enough time for potentially OG, like we see here, to be back in the mix. Yaki going to sit on the cart right now, and this is overtime here. Naga is looking for a way forward. Dynamite, that's nasty for the Tracer. That's going to force an early recall here, but it's going to be Slime and Gargoyle. Pulse Bomb in the grab. Nothing there. The Transcendence from Gangnam to be held onto it, and it pays off. What an investment for the Florida Mayhem. They step forward, and the Eternal are cleared from the cart. Just the one checkpoint is all that Paris will get.
In a large source of damage for the Florida Mayhem there was also Gargoyle from the high ground. They tried to pressure him out, landing a Discord orb on him, trying to put some damage into him, but they're just never able to dislodge him up from those bridges. Time and time again, just putting down damage, with the Zarya beam. In between that, the Tracer, the Ash, you're just never going to be able to break that coming on in. So, pretty good push all in all, though, from the Paris Eternal. They do make some pretty good progress, on the second checkpoint. They get it just about to completion. It falls a little bit short, but we'll see now how they react on defense. This is interesting. So do they go? They're going to play the Reinhardt Rush on defense, which we typically see a lot of teams play the Wrecking Ball compositions here on D. This is one where they're going to have to deal with OG without having the Brig, the Zen in the mix. This is where Ball could be pretty effective.
Can't stun him. Can't Discord orb him. Again, the Mayhem aren't locked in here, but we've seen OG play a ton of Wrecking Ball in general. Maybe this makes it a little harder for someone like Yaki to pressure backlines when there's a threat of being booped away or being stunned or something similar. The Mayhem also, they can't just pile in and start a fight here. They need to be a little bit more selective about how they approach things. Maybe use OG to create some sort of split with the Eternal setup. How wholesale are these changes?
I wonder if they switch to Winston here. Play like a Winston-based comp against this. The Florida Mayhem is...
only a DPS change? No,
Nope,
OG, I heard him go back.
Yeah, they're going to swap everything out. They may play... I thought they were going to play
Okay.
like a Reinhardt with the Sigma, but they end up playing the Sigma here with the Ball. So Wrecking Ball, Sigma, and then they're going to play the Mercy with the Zen to be able to pocket, the damage boost onto the Zen and the Ashe up on the high ground. It's huge.
So it seems like they really value paving the way with this Dynamite, right? Get a damage boosted Dynamite tick and then just jump on in. Doesn't work out well for OG, who I believe gets flashed and body blocked there.
Yeah, he gets flashbang taken out rather quickly, but he's going to be back in the fight basically instantly.
Oh, that's annoying.
Big damage there.
High ground.
Yeah, that's on the Khan. He does get quite low. Not able to have Yaki get in and finish him off, but Yaki's worked his way around towards a flank.
Khan doesn't want to use his biotic field, by the way. He doesn't want to use his sort of self-heal if he can avoid it. But there's no burst healing outside of amped healing from the Lucio, which you also don't want to use here if you want to reposition later. So taking this chip damage is really annoying for Baptiste and Ana, especially because, again, your self-heal mechanisms are limited.
Yeah, I mean, you play in the point, which makes a lot of sense. Now they bust out here, the Paris Eternal, and they're able to wipe the floor. So they had Onigod playing up the high ground. He gets taken out instantly. But I like the position that the rest of the team was playing on because, the Wrecking Ball could come in, get a pile driver, but he's going to get stunned instantly. You have so many players playing in a closed circle. You have the Immortality field available. You would have been able to pick up that kill. And also, what does the Tracer do in that situation? Not able to finish off Yaki. He's going to get out with his life. But we'll see if they play that position again, because this is also one where if the Florida Mayhem decide to split and poke down, you're going to see this. You're going to see the speed boost come in. They're going to pick one direction. They're going to go and just punish a player. No speed boost available for the Mayhem.
They head right. Don't get any results, though. The Mayhem are able just to drop back into the foxholes and get on with business. This could be a nasty pulse here. No, it doesn't even connect. The Eternal group's so close together, but Yaki can't find purchase with that ultimate. So the Mayhem have a good position now, and it's tough for the Eternal to have to filter out of that small room. They've been bamboozled into playing from that part of the map. They have to find a way back in, but, I mean, Hyperspheres bounce. There's a lot of people grouped together for a Gravitic Flux, and that's going to come out right now. It only really catches down, but he was below half health before he dropped, so he goes down. Gangnam Jin gets removed by Onigod here, but there's only so much that one can do. Maybe more will be required from Onigod. Just that one kill there. Neptuno falls, and the Mayhem come up with the goods. Interesting maneuvering there from Paris, man.
Yeah, and they kind of play into exactly what the Florida Mayhem want. If the Florida Mayhem can get Paris to spread out a little bit, play disjointed, the Florida Mayhem's composition loves that. They kind of feast off of that. Where if the Paris Eternal are, that's a huge loss there to lose Khan, but if they're able to roll together and really take these engages, then it's really where they should excel. This will be a Valkyrie used here for the Florida Mayhem, and they're up 2 players.
The Eternal staying here. This is still stall to a degree. It's also a lot of ult charge for the Mayhem, so Slime's happy to part with his Valkyrie for the time being, knowing that it probably won't be too long before that is again available. And the Mayhem, they have a lot to work with here in this next fight. The Eternal have to concede a decent amount of space. I wonder if they can even really fight for the high ground now.
The only way they close the gap is with this Lucio. The Ashe is obviously going to out-damage the McCree at range. You also have the benefit of having the Discord Orb. It's like Onigod in a really weird position. He's like directly underneath where the Mayhem are playing.
Self-destruct there. I mean, it's a really oppressive position that the Mayhem are holding on that high ground. They're forced away from it now, back towards that pylon itself. The cart, all the while, has been moving, by the way, and the Florida Mayhem are so close to their goal in this map to go up 2-1. Something as simple as a pulse bomb or even a strong breeze might be enough to do the job here. Okay, they want high ground control. Solo shatter for BQB. Sound barrier comes out as well. The Eternal are investing. And for whatever reason, Gangnam Jin says, no, I'm going to go for a Transcendence here. And then they lose Slime.
Yes, the Transcendence just ends up running away with it.
Literally.
You still have some players alive though. You know, Yaki's still in the mix. Oh, he actually gets pinned there by Donis. He was pressuring out Onigod, putting some damage down onto him. So Onigod does end up forcing a recall. I thought potentially you end up using some of those and backing out, because this would have been a sign that the Florida Mayhem want to switch, but a minute and 30 on the clock here. Valkyrie Pulse Bomb plus Gravitic Flux might be good enough to end it.
Khan has, of course, the amplification matrix, and he is eternally wary of Yaki coming up and pinning the tail on him. High ground is definitely where the Eternal want to be set up now. The composition really shines and they can control that, but Yaki is sneaking this one forward bit by bit. If one individual tries to challenge him, a Pulse Bomb can decide that 1v1 in an instant. Gravitic Flux, that catches 3. What a big opening here from Gargoyle. They get brought back down. Accretion follow up. So much damage. It's tough for the Eternal to hold up in this kind of heat, and they crumble. Darn falls first. The Immortality Field only keeps him alive for a short time, and the Eternal now, or what's left of them, need to group up and go to the point. Naga, it's a Blizzard onto OG, but he's given a shield from above from Gargoyle, and that's a crucial pick-off. BQB falling to Elivote now. 5 players left for the Mayhem to make something happen. A Deadeye on the horizon for Onigod if he can survive. OG trying to create some space, but that's a huge headshot that sets up the kill on Gargoyle. Another Immortality kill here from Khan keeps the McCree ticking along. And 23 seconds remain here. The Mayhem are running out of time.
It's such a smart read by Elivote. As soon as he sees the Valkyrie go and help OG and Gargoyle stay alive by the point through the Blizzard, he just runs a BQB up on the high ground, able to take him out. This time they'll BQB with the damage boost. Just outranges Onigod, and it's going to be a sound barrier really early here for Neptuno.
Yaki again, back to basics. Needs to push the card in, but Neptuno's gone down early, and Paris's ability to reposition mid-fight is now compromised. Elivote tries to move off to the card there, and BQB, it's Bob, in fact, that goes down to the Deadeye. Self-destruct, Elivote tries to nudge it around the corner, but can't quite get it far enough here, and BQB, a crucial kill. The damage boost double body shot helps a lot, but Yaki chimes in and gets rid of Khan as well. Here's your overtime, but the Mayhem are up in numbers. Attempted shatter from Dan, there he gets Gargoyle. The pin is there, but the healing still available from Slime, keeps the Diva in the fight. Yaki, oh dear, Naga goes down to the Dynamite, and this should be it now. The Mayhem, blood's in the water, but they want the whole meal. A very close second map here, but it sees the Mayhem go up 2-1.
Oh, that was so close as Paris had a huge opportunity, but those early pickoffs from BQB were huge. And having the damage boost on the Ashe long range against McCree, you definitely favor the Ashe in that matchup, as well as also having the Zenyatta Discord Orb. He's able to take the high ground and put down enough damage to take out 2 players early on, which allows Florida to steamroll through.
That was map 3, of course. The Florida Mayhem set themselves up here for a comfortable series end. Remember, I mean, there's so much hanging in the balance there. The Mayhem lose this match, they don't go to knockouts. If they can win by, some reasonable margin, they will be in. So far, not so bad for the Mayhem, but it doesn't look easy. The Eternal making it hard for them. Map 4's around the corner, though. The Eternal want to force a map 5. Can it be done? We'll find out in just a moment.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
For the Florida Mayhem, their chances of being part of the knockouts here in the May Melee hang in the balance to a degree. It needs to be a win here in this next map and in this series overall to even have a chance to fight, of course, to be some of North America or the West region's top teams. Matt, you said you were very interested in seeing what Blizzard World would hold after map number 2, because you expected to see some different comps, and we kind of did, right? The Eternal really stuck with their rush composition, though, and it looked comfortable for them, and they really gave the Mayhem a tough time.
Yeah, to a point, it did look comfortable, but man, the Mayhem just break through at the final moments. This could go to 5. Now, coming up next with Dorado, I have no idea what to expect. I thought this would be a series where Florida Mayhem, coming in, I thought that this would be one where they would bounce back strong. After yesterday, they know what's at stake. They would put away Paris in commanding fashion, but Paris is not gone away. Really, the only map that was one-sided, you would say, is map number 1. Everything else has been relatively close. So we take a look at BQB's Ash stats from Blizzard World. He was the difference maker for me, really able to control the high ground, especially in that final fight.
And crucially as well, you notice that his deaths per 10 minutes was only marginally higher than sort of what his sort of average has been so far this season, right? And that's because, frankly, there's a lot of pressure coming his way. Only God has been really difficult to deal with across the map. In fact, BQB seems like he's having an easier time dealing with the Tracer constantly sort of nibbling at his heels than with the Ashe on the other side of the map, even on occasion when we saw Slime play the Mercy and give him that extra little boost, especially on that first attack. Some heroics from the Paris Eternal, especially from Khan, as we saw him play that Zenyatta from the high ground, really put them in a good position here. But you'll notice here we actually have a little bit of a personnel adjustment here. So Tsuna comes in for Naga, obviously the French national. Will sub in as a DPS.
Yeah, no, well, we'll see what that brings in for the Paris Eternal. Here on Dorado, you see a lot of teams on defense play either Winston or Balde's compositions, right? Can control that high ground. And this is one where you potentially want like a Tracer 24/7. So we'll see what Tsuna decides to bring into the mix here for the Paris Eternal in this map.
Right, you've got to feel like, you know, we've seen a lot of May played, and also Naga showed us a lot of May in general, but There's a sense that it's a little bit harder to get consistent value with her over most of this map just because of how much of a factor that verticality is.
Yeah, this is interesting as like the overall stage. This is one of the only times I can really remember where we didn't, you know, after like 2-3 weeks, we didn't have like a default meta for every map, every situation. It's really become map dependent. Teams building around different things. I think it speaks to
Why do you think
the
that
balance
is?
of the game right now. I mean, I think you just find that like Rush is not the best in every situation, especially maps with high ground. Like when you look at you know, Anubis being able to control different parts of the high ground, Blizzard World here on Dorado. You know, the Reinhardt-based compositions with Lucio just takes too much damage to the poke compositions coming on in that you're able to do, or just ones that can, you know, split players up, cause chaos. So I think that's why you see a lot of variation map to map.
It makes me wonder as well if that has anything to do with, and no shade here at all, but it makes me, if it has anything to do with obviously the last hero being released a decent time ago, and that there's a lot of time to iterate on balance from a sort of developer perspective, right? To get the game, you know, when you constantly have all these new inclusions, you know, messing up and, you know, sort of creating chaos in terms of balance, it can be hard to sort of
like a lot of
rein that
stability,
back in.
right?
Yeah, absolutely. Whereas in this case, I mean, we wanted this 5 years ago. You know, we were saying we would love for different maps to have different optimal compositions and different teams to have different sort of takes on it. So, you know, for all that sort of, you know, opinions about sort of the frequency of, you know, new heroes sort of being introduced here, you can at least admit to a degree that it does lend itself to the ability to iterate on balance. And we get to a point like this, right? So Paris Eternal Commander here in defense. It looks like it will be double bubble for the Eternal. And again, now this is where a lot of focus goes onto the Neptuno as well, because he'll be having to really try and keep Onigod alive as well as possible. And Kant, for that matter.
And Suna comes in to play the Tracers, so this will be the Winston Tracer up on the high ground. You have the Ashe here as well, being able to just put long-range damage down. So we'll see what the Mayhem play. We haven't seen a ton of Widowmaker throughout the stage thus far. See if they go with the Widow, maybe just fire a shot off the spawn and then switch to the Ashe.
OG slept early. A nice little lineup there from Khan, who guy sweats it out. He's a serious flex support player. BQB wants to wrap around here. Keep an eye on, yeah, look at how Slime sort of interposes himself between the enemy and his Ashe player. Daan wants to push up here a little bit. Oh, the Body Grenade. Okay, that's cleansed instantly from the Xayah Bubble, and that is what this composition is designed to do.
That is huge, because he was very low. So he was taking damage from all directions. As 4 players from the Mayhem pushing their way up to the high ground. You're going to have Yaki just moving the payload, so not a ton of damage up there, but BQB able to find an angle, takes out Daan.
Well, they were ready for the counter dive from Daan. They were ready to turn around and deal with him there, and he got isolated. Still, that is a gigantic Body Grenade, and that's going to claim Slime. OG also is going to be in trouble here if Gangnam didn't just keep him topped up. So a bit of a trading kills, but it buys the Mayhem a bit of space because Daan is so crucial in this setup. Only got fancy footwork, but now he's going to have to do more than tap dance to get away from this. Hugs that corner. Great timing for Daan to return here. Keeps the Ashe alive.
This could be a nano boost on OG, right over the top, and put down some damage. Whoa, that is both DPS going down in an instant. That's going to be OG getting biotic grenaded. This will be a fight loss for the Florida Mayhem, as Florida looked like they were trying to set something up where they had control of that stairway. They had pushed back the Paris Eternal, and they were going to nano boost OG and send him on in with the Tracer coming in through the initial choke. None of that happens. 2 big kills, one from Suna, one from Onigod. And BQB's going to go to the McCree here, so tells me they want to play a little bit closer, maybe get him in a position up on the stairs, close the gap between him and the Ashe.
OG may have to primal even if he gets a nano boost here because the rally is close for Neptuno. Just getting people out of that rally healing is going to be quite important if that happens. The Mayhem play close, low ground. Daan just does a little bit of a scouting run over the top side, sees that they're all grouped up, and Suna, he's licking his lips. He thinks that's a pulse bomb opportunity, but it goes begging because his head goes rolling. BQB catches him with a flash on the high ground now. That's some pressure reduced, but here's the Eternal. It is going to be Primal Rage from Daan, and you notice that Khan's holding the nano, but no chance to give it over to his Winston. Daan falls inside of Primal Rage, and that should be that. The Paris Eternal don't really get the cycle of ultimates they wanted.
And it's because Don is put to sleep by Gangnam Jin. There was no opportunity to land the nano onto him. As the Florida Mayhem, they actually nano BQB. So when the Primal comes in from Don, they know the pressure is going to be put onto the McCree. They end up nano boosting BQB. He puts down enough damage, scares Don away, and then he gets hit with a sleep dart as he's trying to exit. And that allows the Florida Mayhem to get the cart over the line for that first checkpoint. Is they have to get Oni God set up here on the high ground. This is one of the power positions he can control.
The confidence from BQB, this is a very annoying thing for Paris to deal with. They hate having to send someone over to deal with him. They don't have Diva right now. So flanking McCree's with like a huge gulf between you and a bunch of high ground is really frustrating. Zarya has difficulties traversing from low to high here, and the Eternal don't want to commit to a fight unless they're sure they're going to win. They don't want to send Elivo downstairs unless they know it's going to be a fight victory. And that's why they let this cart move so far forward. BQB is in he's a power position there as well. Nicely done. Good shield bash backwards from Neptuno to stay alive just as OG jumped in, and good reactive Graviton surge. That's perfect.
And Elevote was actually playing over towards the flank there originally. And for a second, I thought he was going to be too slow to rotate over because Don gets hit with a biotic grenade, but Don able to get back towards the high ground. And then by the time that he rotates over, they're in a position where he can land a big grab. But he was actually planning as well. Like if they would have came on a flank going towards the right-hand side by the Mega Health Pack, Elevote would have been in position to, grab them and then have Don jump in with a nano boost to finish some of them off.
Elevote sleeping it off for a moment there. A very brief foray to the high ground from OG. Wants to build closer to that primal rage. Yaki tries to make the play here. Tsuna really unperturbed by this. Two Traces dueling. That's a good bit of clip damage onto Tsuna now. Yaki still in a good spot. It's a grab to the high ground. A lot of people got caught in that one. I think it was like a 5-player flashbang from BQB. And at point-blank range, the Deadeye claims 2.
But because Tsuna is stalling out the cart here, just being a nuisance, you're gonna get another fight for the Paris Eternal. The payload not moving at a fast rate here, so you will have another fight. You'll have Bob, you'll have Primal, and your Rally still here available. You're gonna have a nano boost here for the Florida Mayhem. They could kick off the fight, the nano boost onto OG, send him on in. The last time we saw a nano boost onto BQB, but that was almost because of the necessity that Don was using the Primal, getting right up in his face.
Bob comes out first. Get off my lawn, he says. And the Mayhem acquiesce. It's going to be Yaki going down early here, and it's traded. Looks like the BQB Dynamite gets some value. Down to the high ground now. BQB, no chance for him. It's a very stunted little push here from the Mayhem. Looks like it's in its death throes here.
Yeah, this is a big sleep to everybody else for the Mayhem. Stuck inside here as it looked like Gangnam Jin didn't go. We're trying to turn it, but really good help for Neptuno on the con because they end up sending OG, Gargoyle, Slime, and Gangnam Jin over on that left-hand side to try and go after the supports. And they got absolutely nothing. Really good help from Neptuno with an early rally to help keep the other support, Khan alive, as you saw from Onigod's perspective. And BQB is like both of the DPS playing over on the right-hand side. They were taken out basically instantly. Just one kill from the DPS players from the Mayhem.
Final fight territory here for the Mayhem. 13 seconds remain. See which team that's an unlucky number for. Elivo, will he get a decent lineup on this grab though? Yaki again knows he'll have to duel Tsuna a fair bit here. Needs to win the Tracer battle to get the cart moving. That's going to force the Eternal to the low ground. OG wants to get involved as well. Can they get rid of Tsuna? The guy's unkillable. An absolute menace. Neptuno does fall though. It's a very split Paris Eternal here. Cart rolls back now during this fight, but Yaki's there. He's pushing it forward. No one from Paris can get there. Grab. Speculative Graviton surge here, but it catches them. Still going to be a touch at all. Yaki gets a big pulse bomb on not only got and done. Goes down. Yaki trying to stand alive here, and they sneak it in, man. They just get it in at the last moment.
Another one where barely they get it across the line as Yaki goes huge there for the Florida Mayhem. As that was a very long-range grab from Elevote, but it was huge. They were able to get both kills off of that. But OG and Yaki just on the payload. Too much for the Paris Eternal to deal with. Still pretty good defense here, though, from Paris. Even though they give that up. Only a minute on the clock for the Mayhem to complete the map. You're the Paris Eternal. Just focus on getting a hold before this third point, and then you go back on your offense. Hey, we complete this map, we get a game 5.
Paris showing that it's, it's not just the rush composition gimmick that they're going to be stuck with here. They're looking pretty confident on the double bubble as well. Nano for Dan. Well, Dan if he does, Dan if he doesn't. Sleek dart. Now he'll punch out some Z's here on the high ground. Gets the Zarya bubble. Gargoyle is positioned here with a Graviton Surge from the high ground, and OG goes deep with a Zarya bubble as well. He's looking to really mess things up now. Primal Rage could be very effective in this small room, but I think OG would rather use it for space creation. That's a trade. Suna and Yaki both down. No traces left for either team, but it's Gargoyle missing a Deadeye from BQB. Looks like it was defensively there for safety. It forces the Eternal back somewhat, but that Primal Rage now has to be used by OG, and he lacks support. He wants to dive deeper. Watch his health just disintegrate here if he's not careful. Nice biotic grenade on Slime. That's going to be chased up there by Dan. No way Slime could have avoided that situation. And now Elivo just positions forward. He's very charged up. Tough enough to crack the Eternal. That'll be a parting gift here from Suna. And a killer shield bash there to stop Yaki in his tracks. A grab there. Really tough to make anything happen from that one if you're Gargoyle. And the Wrecking Ball won't make it to the cars.
I gotta say, in that last fight, OG did a ton of work. He gets the Nano and goes all the way towards the spawn door, and he's able to push Elevote, Khan, and Neptuno all the way back there. And it puts Dawn and Suna in a really difficult position because none of the healers have the line of sight. The Brig doesn't have the range, but they're able to stay alive through it. Dawn barely gets the Primal Rage, able to pop it, even though he gets hit with a Biotic Grenade. Absolutely needed to stay alive. And then Suna picks up a kill during it as well. So OG did his job there. That's on the rest of the Florida Mayhem. When you have your main tank who just eliminates the healers from being able to heal up the Winston there towards the end, and even the Tracer, you got to be able to take advantage of that.
Gigantic stick there for Yaki, and Dan was already so low. Quick 2 kills. Again, a very chaotic fight towards the end. The 2-player Graviton Surge from Elivote. Not only does it catch 2, it pulls them off the cart. This forces Yaki to make this mad dash up the left-hand side of the map. What a ridiculous showing from him on that Tracer. Again, the Mayhem are well positioned to succeed in this kind of metagame. But the Eternal just will not make it easy. Suna subbing in here on this Tracer looks really nasty.
So now you have a position where the Florida Mayhem, you hold on this half, you win the series, you secure a spot for tomorrow. They come out with a composition that kind of like has like 2 different kind of strengths, where OG and Yaki can test the cart, they can be a nuisance on the back line. This is a Sim TP play, by the way, coming out from Paris. But then also the Sigma Zen Ash combo can really hold ground and put damage at range, but really nice here from the Paris Eternal. They come out with a Sim TP that goes behind straight to the stairs, and they're able to pressure out those players up on the high ground right away.
Dan did well to stay alive as long as he did, especially with liberal application of the Discord Orb from Gangnam Jin. Eventually this gets sniffed out and snuffed out as Yaki descends on the last couple of players remaining. So it will be a switch only got here, back towards the Ashe, and I guess in a longer fight they were not set up to succeed with him. In the Ashe here, of course, they have the Zenyatta Florida. Almost a Transcendence for Gangnam Jin already.
I could use some healing.
Yaki having a look. See, Dan there wants to try and follow up on some sort of shenanigans in that side house. God, Yaki loves to spam that. Again, the Tracer duel ensues. Yaki a little low, has to recall, but Suna did the same thing. Elsewhere, Gargoyle falls, but both flex tanks are traded out here as Dan's looking for an easy kill, and this may not come so simply. There's a Mercy pocketing BQB. That's a ridiculous biotic grenade connection from Khan, and he finishes the job as well. What an unbelievable Ana player. Yaki, Pulse Bomb, might take him with him, and he does. Dan falls, and again, the Mayhem were able to stand here. It looks like they really are more than happy to play in this chaotic maelstrom here of different heroes.
Like you mentioned, it's a beautiful biotic grenade from Khan on the BQB. BQB barely gets the bob off before, and then when you lose Khan, you lose Khan to the bob, so you have no opportunity to sleep the bob, and then he just puts down enough damage where it pushes players into that side room, and Yaki able to help finish them off. So series of potentially unfortunate events there for the Paris Eternal is this Tracer 1v1 is going on forever, pretty much the whole map. Big pulse bomb there on the Gargoyle though. That's a good opening kill.
What does Yaki do? He just looks on and says, well, I mean, yeah, unlucky, I guess, Gargoyle. It couldn't really help you much there. Neptuno didn't have recall available, still 5 seconds away, and Yaki quickly cleans him up. That's huge. Now Yaki controls this part of the map. No one can really stop him at all, Matt. Bit of damage. Looks like that could have come from a dynamite or something similar. It's hard to say. But BQB now steps up. That cart, though, crucially is still moving. Eventually, BQB may have to commit if he doesn't do serious work on these tanks. Nice little do-si-do there, but doesn't have a coach gun until after Dan goes down. It doesn't matter because the rest of his team are back.
Yeah, Don is so focused on trying to get Slime and Gangnam Jin, and there's no appeal for the rest of the team where they just kind of leave Khan out to dry. There's only so much that Neptuno can do to keep him alive, especially when there's just poke damage coming in from Gargoyle, Yaki, getting into the backline, causing chaos. As this will be Primal Rage from Don as he's trying to go after the Zen yet again.
He's hit with a Discord though, this could be tough. OG goes down on the other side of the map though, Suna still a menace in that left side room. Here is the Transcendence to respond to the grab. Dan falls to the bob. BQB seems to be getting so many of those right now, and Yaki's looking for a way in. He found it. Damage boost there by the looks of things, and Suna falls. Now he wants to duke it out with Onigod. Dodge, and a skip and a jump. He finds the kill, and now he'll be able to return towards the card here. Neptuno, enraged, whips around to see the Tracer. Yaki somehow gets away with it. Actually getting away with murder here, and there's 19 seconds left in the round.
He's absolutely popped off here. And what could be our final map is Discord Orb played a huge part in that. He just follows it up so beautifully. Paris has to get a touch. They do have Bomb available, but looks like Don will be able to swing in, get a touch, and they lose Onigod right away.
The damage boosted Ash wins out. Onigod jealously looking on from Spawn there, as OG gets rid of Onigod's bomb. A double pulse, that's huge. He gets both rid of BQB and Slime. No Resurrect available, but Suna goes down to OG. Now on the cart, OG goes for a bit of a belly drum there, but he's hit with a biting grenade. Again, Khan causing problems. Elivote pushes up, but Yaki falls to a pulse? Rocket of anything? The Helix rocket cleans up Yaki, and the Eternal, with the legs in tow, come up with the point.
It's Suna, a huge pulse bomb. It keeps the game going. We'd be a player of the match at this point if that pulse bomb doesn't come through. Huge play there from Suna, especially with BQB getting that first opening kill on Onigod, and Onigod in a very difficult situation in the Ash 1v1 because he doesn't have the luxury of the Discord Orb and the damage boost. But man, a huge play keeping Paris in this map. That's got to be brutal for the Florida Mayhem.
The French super sub comes in at just the right time, and it keeps Paris' hopes of a map 5 alive. Elivote trying to control some of the high ground, or maybe knock someone down. Everyone makes space for him, gives him a wide berth. See Slime still pocketing BQB up on that high ground now. Nano boost towards Dan, who is stunned up briefly there, tries to go for the kill, still gets burnt down again. Still hard to deal with that Discord Orb. Even with the damage reduction from Khan, it's not enough. And the Eternal, I mean, this is a real blow to them. Just as they start to build momentum, it's snuffed out of them.
And they're trying to trade the Nano for the Transcendence there. They know that Gangnam Jin has built up this Transcendence. What they're trying to do with that Nano boost is send the Wrecking Ball up towards the high ground, get a big pile drive, maybe some damage coming in early from Onigod. It's just crazy good. They want to force that Transcendence out. They're able to get that Transcendence. It's huge for the Paris Eternal. Not able to do so. So now potentially you have to go up and use your minefield. So you're kind of almost like getting 2 for 1 in terms of the trade in the Mayhem's favor. So Gangnam Jin not popping the Transcendence and still able to win that fight is huge for them.
Pulse Bomb for Tsuno. Won't care about Transcendence on a 200 HP or less target. Looking for it. Gravitic Flux here used from the high ground. Gargoyle, there's the stick onto him, but there's a Transcendence in play. Not the target I think that Tsuno was looking for with a Pulse Bomb. Onigod pressured down, and yeah, that Discord Orb application makes it an easy dinner for Yaki. And there's 10 seconds left. 10 seconds for Paris to stay alive in this series and to potentially play spoiler to the Mayhem going into knockouts. Time is not on their side, nor are ultimates here. But they can still make something happen with the rally if they can get to the point where they've lost Dan already. Elivote's forced to step up with no support whatsoever and is quickly demeched. OG gets another one there. Neptuno walks in with the rally, and of course Khan has to step up. He's packed to the max though. Onigod finds the one kill. He finds two. Gundam Jin falls down. It's Neptuno Khan and Onigod. Dan's going to return to the fight now. And the Eternal somehow getting their troops back into the fight. Yaki, though, huge. One clip on Onigod, gets the headshot. And he'll finish the job on Khan with the help of OG. Back to the cart now. The Eternal had a chance, a flicker of that Eternal light. But eventually that too is extinguished. And the Florida Mayhem will head on to knockouts.
And Onigod gets those 2 kills, and he's trying to get any type of healing. Neptuno and Khan are both there. They're having Neptuno push the payload, contest it. Onigod gets a Bob off of those 2 kills, and they're never able to get the Bob off. That could have been a game changer, right? Just to kind of contest, keep it going. You would have had 2 more players coming off of the respawn, back into the fight. And Yaki able to take out Onigod before he could even get that Bob off is huge. The Florida, they win this series. And Paris has been a tough team for a lot of others, but this doesn't feel like the big win you would have wanted to see from the Florida Mayhem. Seems like it's still really close going into knockouts to tomorrow.
It doesn't do much to alleviate some of the concerns that some of these Mayhem fans had coming after yesterday. Still, they can be glad that they still have a chance to fight on and be part of the Western region's offering here in the May Melee Finals. Let's look at our player of the match presented by Xfinity. And for an individual who really looked amazing across the entirety of the series, I think it's hard not to give it to someone like BQB here. You know, again, we highlighted just how little that he dies, but again, he's still dishing death out in immense quantity.
Yeah, towards the end of the series, especially on Dorado, you really saw that Yaki was picking it up, but Blizzard World was a huge map for the Florida Mayhem and absolutely must win in the series. And BQB really took control on the Ashe. I think with his Ashe and then his McCree play throughout the series, really helped put a little bit of a gap between him and Onigod in terms of how they were playing. So I thought BQB really had a good series. Picking up where he left off from last season, BQB had a really good year last year. Not the flashiest of players, especially when you kind of compare him to his running mate Yaki, but very strong player in his own right.
Absolutely. The damage output is excellent here as well. You know, north of 10k hero damage per 10 minutes and crucially almost 10 final blows per 10. A lot of those as well on the enemy tracer. Now, when Suna gets subbed in, we see less of, Suna harassing the backline and more him just stalling that card and making it a little bit hard, especially difficult for Yaki to deal with. So what I like about the Eternal, Matt, is we get to see a little bit more of what they have to offer, right? We say, okay, it definitely seems like this rush composition is where they look more comfortable, but they make the substitution. Suna comes in as Tracer and is starting to really even up that duel against Yaki, really forcing Yaki to dig deep and go further beyond.
Well, we say that the Paris Eternal really want to play the rush style stuff, which they do. But we did see them, go toe-to-toe with the Florida Mayhem in a lot of other different variations, right? They went toe-to-toe in the Wrecking Ball, different kind of compositions, double bubble. So I thought pretty good performance from the Paris Eternal overall today. And I think if you're Paris, it can only get better as this team gets more time to play with each other.
Absolutely. I think skeptics are starting to be silenced about that Paris Eternal roster. But someone who's always got plenty to say is Danny Lim. He's going to be joined for an interview with BQB.
Welcome to Game Break presented by Cheese It Grooves, everybody. I'm Danny Lim. I'm here joined by BQB from Florida Mayhem. BQB 선수 안녕하세요.
네, 안녕하세요.
Alright, so my first question is, you guys bounced back strong today after your loss against the San Francisco Shock yesterday. Are you guys looking for revenge on the Shock after your loss yesterday? 어제 경기 패배 후 오늘 좀 상당히 좋은 모습으로 승리를 거두셨는데요. 좀 어제에 대한 복수, 그러니까 센쇼에 대한 좀 복수를 원하고 계신가요? 지금 플로리다 팀은?
일단 저희는 작년부터 이제 쇼크를 아직 이겨본 적이 없기 때문에 쇼크를 이기는 걸 우선순위로 하고 그거를 이제 올해 시즌이 끝나기 전에 꼭 복수를 한번 하고 싶어요.
Alright, so ever since last season, we've never actually beaten the Shock ever. So we're actually really focusing on that. So definitely we do want revenge on the Shock. If it's not soon, then probably later on. But for sure, during the season, we want to beat the Shock at least once. And now, BQB, you've been with the Mayhem since, I believe it was late 2018. So you've been there for a long time. As a player who's been with the team the longest, would you say that this is the best Mayhem roster that we've ever seen? BQB 선수, 제가 알기로는 BQB 선수가 지금 플로리다 메이엠에서 2018년도 거의 마지막 정도에 들어와서 지금까지 계속 쭉 있으셨는데 팀 내에서 좀 가장 오래된 선수로서 지금의 메이햄, 우리가 지금 보고 있는 메이햄의 좀 로스터가 좀 지금까지 우리가 봤던 메이햄 중에서 좀 최고라고 말씀을 할 수 있을까요?
이제 아직은 저희가 경기에서 좋은 모습을 그렇게 많이 보여드리지 못했지만 이제 최고가 되려고 노력을 많이 하고 있으니까 지켜봐 주셔도 괜찮을 것 같아요.
I think, I don't think we've shown how much we're capable as of right now. Throughout all the matches, I don't think we've shown our full potential yet, but we are definitely trying our best, so you could probably be on the lookout as we improve throughout the whole season. All right, BQB, that is it for the post-match interview. Thank you so much, and congratulations again on today's win. BQB 선수 오늘 인터뷰 해주셔서 너무 감사하고요. 승리 다시 한번 축하드리고 감사합니다.
네, 감사합니다.
All right, everybody, let's head back to the desk.
Thank you so much, BQB. Thank you so much, Danny. Congratulations to the Florida Mayhem as they now officially secured their one slot in the knockout round. That means one more slot to go with a few teams vying for that very spot. Now, the Mayhem securing that spot, they will be very happy. However, the Eternal, they are now officially eliminated. Florida, they did bounce back after getting swept yesterday, but honestly, though, I want to say that this was by no means a clean victory. And Costa, you were in almost physical pain, it felt, watching that game.
I wouldn't say I was in physical pain. I felt for the Paris Eternal guys so much because it was honestly a battle of inches. They made a couple of crucial mistakes at the final hours. I think Blizzard World is a prime example of that. I think some of their ults were a little lackluster in the final minutes, and that ended up costing them at the end. And then just BQB goes sicko mode at the end of that map, picks two people, forces the beat early, and then it all tumbled down from there. The same thing can be said about Dorado. A couple of things just went by the wayside, and they weren't able to capitalize. I do want to give massive credit to Paris. As Matt said, they took it toe-to-toe with the Florida Mayhem on a lot of different compositions, on the Winston, on that. But on Anubis, when they were able to play the Brawl as we expected, they came out firing and they full held. They did such a good job. This is bright lights for them. Obviously out of the May Melee, but you have to be happy with these performances going into the later half of this Melee and use that and build up on that going into the future, because they can be a lot better of a team than we're expecting of them right now.
Do you think that the Paris Eternal kind of exposed some weaknesses here on the Florida squad? If other teams were to rewatch that game, are there some notes they can take heading into the May Melee?
Oh, almost certainly. Just this weekend, I think you saw the San Francisco Shock sort of hit those pressure points for the Florida Mayhem very well. This is not a indestructible Florida Mayhem that we saw last May Melee last year. This is a team that does have weaknesses, and one of the teams that I am worried about heading into this May Melee if they're going to be exposed further and fall out earlier than we expect.
Right on. And I did love, Danny, the interview with BQB there. BQB kind of backpedaling, not saying like, yeah, we want our revenge on Shock, like in the May Melee. It's like, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but one day we're going to come for them. It's like, all right, BQB. So he's really leaving it wide open. Before the season ends,
right? So.
Oh, well, wow. that would make it in a Pringles Bowl prediction right there, BQB. Like you're on par with the desk right there. Now, speaking of which, it is time for Crunch Time presented by Cheesy Grooves. And, with the Toronto Defiant, this is the crunchiest hours, the crunchiest of all times for them, because if they beat the London Spitfire, they're in the knockout rounds at least. If they lose to the London Spitfire, they're out of this May Melee. Now, if you're a Gladiators fan, you also will be rooting for the London Spitfire, because this is the best path for the Gladiators to actually make it into the knockout round. So let's talk about this upcoming match. Toronto and London will be facing off against each other. And Toronto, they were struggling yesterday against the Washington Justice. Is today's match an opportunity for them to finally get that first W on the board, Reinforce?
Yeah, I think this really is an opportunity for the London Spitfire. Obviously, we're split on the desk in terms of predictions as well, because we recognize that London Spitfire, while they haven't secured a win so far this season, going into this one, they really do have an opportunity to capitalize on Toronto Defiant's weakness, what they showed yesterday against the Washington Justice. Also, taking a look at the map set for today's match, it really plays into London Spitfire's wheelhouse. So far this season, they play about Reinhardt 50% of the time, and their highest main tank teamfight win rate is also on Reinhardt. So when we look at the maps, Lijiang Tower, you got Control Center, Night Market, you can play some Reinhardt. King's Row in there, Hallmark, Reinhardt map, and Havana. So a lot of maps here that favor Reinhardt play. So keeping in mind that London Spitfire, they like to play Reinhardt and they are successful on Reinhardt. This map set is looking really good for them. This would be a prime opportunity for London Spitfire to get their first win of the season against the Toronto Defiant that really looked weak yesterday against the Washington Justice.
I find it very interesting how you're almost selling me on London Spitfire now, even though you and I were both the ones actually thinking that Toronto got this. Are you questioning your own picks, or are you just trying to, you know, skew the market so you get more, you know, more Scrimbuck points or however it works?
I mean,
obviously not.
Yeah, I would flip my pred probably, but the thing is, I locked them in. I did my own predictions video. I gotta stick with it if someone copied me. So I'm just sticking with it. But yes, you know, it's very tempting to swap here to London Spitfire. I just can't.
Well,
the pride.
Speaking of London, we have two Brits waiting in a corner. That's right. And I don't think either of you is from London, though. Bren, Saicho, is either of you from those parts? No. Cool.
Let me think. Is the northeast of London in the prosperous centre of the United States? Sorry, the United Kingdom. I've been here too long. I can't even remember where I'm from. Where are my origins? Where am I from? My nationality? I can't remember.
We've lost it. We've
It's a man of the world, and I love it.
Are we ahead of Mitch and Matt on the caster power rankings that you've got?
Not for long.
You are.
Yeah, I was going to say we need to be going right down.
You are
threw to
behind
us.
Danny and
Carl.
though, right?
Yeah.
That's understandable.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, I can understand losing to an inanimate picture, but yeah, I mean, we're gonna be shooting right down the rankings after taking that throw and just both of us being muted. I just looked at the program feed. We're both leaning over to unmute. Like we're literally out of
geniuses.
it.
What can I say?
Yeah,
Geniuses.
I mean, this match that's upcoming though. I mean, I'm agreeing with you guys. I think wholeheartedly this is going to be a pretty split match. I didn't know what to predict. I went with like a 3-2, I think, for Toronto. That's what I went with.
Me too, Brent.
Okay.
Solid.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Same.
I love how you say you agree with them wholeheartedly when they are split 2-2. Only Brent can manage to do that.
Yeah. I'm going back to my 2018 roots, you know. I'm just flopping my predictions, flip-flopping every time at the halftime.
Flip-flop
Anyway.
Bren, we love him.
Exactly. We'll catch you guys on the other side desk as well as we're ready to head into the match at hand. We've got Toronto Defiant versus the London Spitfire, and it's shaping up to be a good one, I think. Toronto is a team that's been steadily improving over the course of the season, and I mean, as you can tell from me, you know, from Johnny, from the rest of the desk, not you, Josh, apparently you're pretty certain about which way this game's going to go. Don't want to put words into your mouth, but no, you're not certain? Okay, what are you expecting then?
Okay, here's my expectations for this game. I think the map pool has to be really important, as the desk was highlighting, but just more so than that as well, I think London really need to step up. It's one thing for the Washington Justice to expose the weaknesses of the Toronto Defiant. That's fine, but for London to do the same thing is going to require a big step up in performance from what we've seen from London so far. They were close, yeah, being able to squeak out a win against the Boston Uprising. But this is the next step, and they've got to do it against a team that so far has been relatively comfortable in that middle of the pack section. So yeah. I still think this is going to be a stretch if London takes it. They have to really punch above their weight that they've shown so far in the league.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it was take a look at the London Spitfire starters as well. You can see who exactly they've got running, and definitely going to need to step it up overall. This time going to be running Hybrid and Blase. That's a DPS duo. And honestly, my eyes are going to be on Hardy as an individual, I think, coming into this, because it's a guy with, I think there was a ton of hype, and as well, we know the potential of this guy from his performances in contenders. But, you know, getting thrown into the Overwatch League is often, you know, you're essentially clashing with some of the best of the best.
Yeah, I mean, Brent, look at the rankings. You can see our power rankings with IBM Watson towards the bottom there. Hadi and Molfig coming into the league. I was thinking maybe they could be an average main tank, or tank duo, rather, in the Overwatch League. We've got Hadi ranked at 34 out of 40 and Molfig at 40. Now, that is because they've been losing a lot as well. It's not just based on their individual performance. It's correlated to how they actually transform that into wins. But at the end of the day, Hadi and Molfig have got to step up. We were hoping that this tank line could be league average. They are so far away from that right now, and I want to see Hadi and Molfig perform as we saw them in contenders.
Yeah, absolutely. On the other side, of course, the Toronto Defiant. So they're going to be playing against to see who the starters are for this match now. And it's going to be some familiar faces as well. Logix and Nice as well as the DPS duo. And on the other side, the tank line, I mean, we're talking so much about the tanks. Sado with Michelle as well. And Sado, a guy who's been showing up, you know, we've been seeing all sorts of memes created around him as well. Sado 2 liters in the chat. This guy has been he's been chugging away, and look at those IBM rankings as well. These guys are honestly sailing pretty high at the moment.
They are, and that's by virtue of them being able to get pretty decisive victories, or at least when they win maps, they are decisive in those wins as well. And so they've been able to generate really good kind of feelings behind the scenes with the IBM Watson algorithm as well, ranking these guys very highly at the beginning of the season. But remember, it is still early days for the season. We're only talking about week 3, day 3 right now. There's still so much more of the season to be played. But these kind of games are critical to be able to make it into the May Melee first and foremost. That is what we're focused on right here today. Because as we head towards Lijiang, remember, folks at home, Toronto must win this game to be able to get in. If they win, they're in. If they lose to London here, their hopes of making it to the May Melee have disappeared.
Yeah, as we head into Volskaya as the first map as well. Another reminder as well, the knockout matches are going to be occurring tomorrow on the Sunday. So you got that to look forward to, and that's going to be deciding which teams are going to be going to Hawaii to end up playing in the May Melee tournament overall. It's going to be a lot of fun, and that's obviously what's on the line, just to really hammer it home as well. Because I saw some people, you know, they were getting a little bit confused as the format. I don't think we've ever really had a shake-up like this from one year of the Overwatch League to the next, so it's understandable, you know, the format's changing and chopping all over the place, but I'm a pretty big fan of what we've got going as well. It's high stakes all throughout the entire season.
Yeah, it really is. Again, 16 regular season matches. If you slip up in one of them in the previous years, you're like, oh, okay, fair enough. We've still got time to recover our season. But at this point, it's everything on the line. And we begin with a pause here. Not exactly sure what this is, but I can tell you now it's not tactical. There must be some technical issue on somebody's end, but hopefully we'll get that resolved as soon as possible. And yeah, just to dig a little deeper into that as well, these guys are playing every single match is of utmost importance for them, not just for the May Melee, but let's think about the wider season as well. The London Spitfire are 0-3 right now. They are wanting to put that win on the board. If they're not able to do it today, their schedule doesn't get any easier as they go on.
Yeah.
It's week 11 until they play Paris, and it's week 18 until they get a rematch against Paris and play against Vancouver too. So at some point in this season, London really do need to step up and beat one of these teams like Toronto, like Florida, the ones that are maybe in Atlanta, the ones that are in the middle of the pack that they can potentially have a puncher's chance against. These are the games that really matter for the London Spitfire, because there is no way that a group of rookie players like this want to be going 0-4, 0 whatever, as they extend deeper and deeper into the season. These matches have a deep psychological value, as well as having value in terms of getting yourself into tournaments and the end-of-season playoffs.
You got to remember as well, I mean, you hammered it home, Josh. The 16 matches in the overall season as well. If London end up losing this one, it's a quarter of your season that you've ended up throwing down the drain. You don't want that. These wins matter. They absolutely do. As the gates open up, you can see the teams raring to go here. The London Spitfire, of course, going to be running a bit of that rush composition, and Toronto deciding to match them as well. You see Nice actually playing the Doomfist. Okay, Michelle on the Winston as well. Intriguing. All right, just going to be cleaving straight through the shields, I guess. Punching through the Doomfist as well. Winston's primary fire, of course, is going to be going straight through the shields, and they just absolutely obliterate them.
I could tell you one person who's going to be a huge fan of this. Jonathan Reinforce Larson on the desk is going to be just barely keeping his excitement contained within his clothing. Because Sado and Michelle playing this Ryan-Winston combination. We've seen it occasionally before in the World Cup. Team USA ran it a little bit. In the Overwatch League, we've seen it very occasionally. It's a lot for London to deal with. But punishing Michelle is one of the keys. Being able to push Michelle and Nice away from you as you try and engage is absolutely crucial. But they will make so much space for Logix to do damage.
Yep, and here comes the seismic slam. Nice as well. Look at this, the punch. Oh no! Oh no! Well, look, we caught that on camera. You can't take that one back. Oh no! Well, okay. Toronto going to try and clutch it up. Michelle ends up using the Primal Rage, but I think the damage is done. Yep, that's going to be a quick and easy swapperoo of the point. London Spitfire
that's
this
a
time in
tragedy.
control.
That is
Oh, no.
that is one of the most unfortunate moments that we've caught on camera so far this year. Nice had such a great engage as well, though. The seismic slam and the uppercut keeps everybody in place, forces out an early immortality field, and then he just misses the punch and goes and sleeps with the holographic fishes.
Unbelievable. Well, Toronto have made some adjustments. Now we're seeing Michelle actually playing the Sigma here, so moving back over to this role. Still on the Doomfist as well, close to that meteor strike, and you can see the Sim Shield is going to be laid down onto the point. Going to be splitting it up. Blizzard laid down as well. Soundbar is going to be utilized here by Unsung J, but I don't think that caught onto too many targets at all. Nice will be the first one to go down as well. Earth Shatter from Sado, not getting too much done. And Hattie rips around the corner, tries to lay it down again. Not going to be finding too much either. Still, the battle continues. Now the Amp Matrix is online, so they're going to be dropping that one down. Nice back into the action. A punch might just connect. Indeed it does. And it forces out the sound barrier as the London Spitfire look to keep everybody alive. And this time looking like they're in a pretty solid position to take the rest of this fight.
Good capitalization of the sound barrier to take down Sado, but in the meantime, Logix is getting work done. He gets frozen up though. That's a great play by Blase, isolating that player that was doing so much work for the Toronto Defiant. And London, they take them out. And even though Toronto came out with a cheeky, cute little strategy, running that Doomfist, running the Winston, after the disaster of Nice throwing himself into the pit of doom, Toronto haven't been able to execute this retake onto the control point at any point. And now the London Spitfire, they're going to be able to speed boost the Deadeye and stop all of this momentum as Toronto try and approach.
Yep, 95% in counting. That's the danger of taking these prolonged team fights. Michelle wants to lead it in with the Gravitic Flux. It's going to catch on the Hybrid. Hybrid's looking for a target, just about clips onto Michelle. Now the Amp Matrix as well, so London just trying to stave them off. Toronto forced to play around this pillar. In fact, the onus really is on the London Spitfire. Michelle out of position just ever so slightly. And look at how much damage Hybrid is doing. The damage boost applied on top, the Blizzard is almost unnecessary, as it's going to be round number 1 going away at the London Spitfire here.